Welcome back to the History Club podcast.
Woo! We are so excited for week 11, episode 11, and with a very special guest today. Please welcome Maddie to the podcast.
Yes.
Hi, everyone.
How does it feel?
I'm really excited. I've been excited all week. I don't remember when you texted me, but I've been very excited the whole time.
Now, is this your first time on a podcast?
I think so, yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
I've been waiting for this moment for a really long time. I think I really bring podcaster energy, unfortunately, to most things that I do in my life. But this is a really good outlet for that.
Oh, that's great.
And you're a dedicated fan of the History Club podcast, too.
So true. I really am. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite past podcast episode?
Ooh. I really like Aldrin's.
That's
but
a good one.
I will admit I didn't watch the whole episode, but I liked what I saw of Ronan's episode.
Understandable.
Yeah.
And if you guys don't watch this whole thing either,
Rude, misogynistic.
Okay.
yeah. This
But-
is also our first woman on the podcast.
Yes.
We should celebrate
Yes. Woo.
early for Women's History Month.
So that's in March.
Early
Yeah.
for Women's History Month.
Very early.
If you're watching this, Venmo me $5.
Yes. We'll drop her Venmo
Drop
in
it
the comments.
right.
All right. Should we jump right in with questions?
I think it's time for some questions.
Do you have a question?
I don't have a question off the bat.
I have questions.
Go for the question.
So maybe we should start. So Maddie is a member, or was previously a member of the Model UN Club here on campus, which you might remember Ronan was the president of. But Maddie used to be the president.
I did, yeah,
Yes.
I was. Sorry.
What was that like?
Interesting. I really enjoyed it. I loved / still do love Model UN. And I liked being in that role, but more for the administrative duties. Like, I liked the work that I had to do for it. Sorry, I just gave you.
Okay.
I found it really refreshing, and just, it was a nice way for me to be more involved in the club. But the managing the people aspect got tricky at times. But I think that's true of any president. Like, I don't think that was a me specific issue by any means.
Where's your favorite place that you went when you were in Model UN?
Ooh. I would have to say Scotland, just because I love it. But if I wasn't being biased, Denmark. Like, Belgium would unfortunately rank the lowest on my list. But I also just think I needed more time there. The conference was really tiring, and I also wasn't feeling well that week. So there were a lot of factors that made me not really love the Belgium trip. But Scotland and Denmark, for sure.
And I wanted to ask you about what was your most interesting interaction dealing with the individuals on the Model UN trips?
So the most interesting, I would say, happened in Boston, not on a trip abroad. We have a conference we go to every fall, and generally we like to take a night, hang out all together, kind of hotel, just chill, party-esque vibes, but age-appropriate. And I, realized probably about halfway through the evening that one of our members was missing. And the only reason that this was concerning was because all of the members were actively in the room at the time. Sometimes people don't show up. That's totally fine. We want everybody to do what they want to do. But when you have like 25 people in a room and one of them suddenly goes missing, not that great.
Yeah.
So we then found out that this friend was not in their hotel room either, was actually just not on the premises at all, and was wandering the streets of Boston alone at like 11:30 p.m. And I think, have not gotten the years on my life back from that incident. But we found him. It was fine.
That's good.
Everything was all well and good, minus my anxiety levels. But we're chilling now. It's fine.
Would you say bringing him back was your biggest accomplishment as president?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I would say it's up there, like top 3 for sure.
Do you have a number one?
Probably not losing my cool all year. I think that would be number one.
A good amount of restraint.
Yeah, I think a lot of my predecessors in that role had told me that it'll get crazy when you least expect it, and I had kind of laughed that advice off because it was our group. It always got crazy when we least expected it. I thought it would be no different, but it was very different, and so I would like to issue a public apology to all of the former presidents who came before me because you kind of cooked, and I fear I just didn't listen.
For all of them watching, we say thank you. Leave a like on this video to show that you accept Maddie's apology.
For sure,
And
please.
make sure you subscribe as
And make sure
well.
you subscribe too. You could be the next guest on the podcast. If you're a former Model UN president and you are watching this video, reach out. You can be
Yeah.
on the pod.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, you could be considered. The application process is a little bit grueling. You can attest to this.
Yeah, I was really worried about it. I've actually been more concerned about getting on this podcast than getting into schools for my PhD. So,
Yeah. We're tough like
Yeah.
that.
yeah.
Low acceptance rate.
Yeah.
But I made the cut.
Apply. Yeah. Okay, great. So you said that Scotland was your favorite Model UN trip. Do you
Yes.
have a favorite moment from either of the Scotland trips that you went on?
Ooh. I think probably favorite moment would be sometime in 2022. I have two. Is that okay?
Yes.
Are we good with that? Okay.
Kick her off the pod.
To preface, I was very new to Model UN in 2022. It was my first ever trip, my first ever conference, actually. And there was one night, I can't remember which one, but a few of us just like went on a walk through Edinburgh, really late. Kind of everyone else had cleared off the streets, and we walked up by the castle, saw it all lit up at night, just really walked around the Royal Mile and everything. And I really enjoyed that because it was kind of the first time I felt super comfortable with everyone there. Outside of a committee setting, it was the first time I was like, oh, this is a really nice group, and I do actually feel like I can fit in really easily here. So that was nice for me, kind of took a lot of weight and anxiety off of my shoulders. The probably less serious epic moment of that trip was a couple of us went out to a bar one night. We were hanging out, not just, the people who went on the trip, but some people who were at the conference from Scotland as well. And we got to drink this really wonderful thing called TVR. It's not recommended for human consumption, I think. It's tequila, vodka, and Red Bull in horrendous amounts. And we had a couple sips. We felt it pretty quickly. Some of us were like, okay, we're going to go walk this off, head back to the hotel, maybe call it a night. And we had a couple friends who decided to stay with total strangers and get hammered. And so that's really funny because when they came back to the hotel, we were actually all still awake. And one of them tried to pretend that they weren't drunk and then proceeded to ricochet off the wall. And I watch that video probably twice a month. And it really just, when I'm feeling down, it brings me back to, happy memories. And, there could always be worse.
Is that your Roman Empire?
A little bit, yeah. I think that, if I'm having a bad day, at least I'm not ricocheting off the wall after a couple pictures of TBR. And that's just how it has to be sometimes. That's my metric for, okay, are we doing okay? Are we not? How are we doing here?
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
So, you've moved on from Model UN, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about your experiences after Model UN. How has it been like after the unnamed graduate school?
It's been pretty good. It's weird taking, I guess, a break from school because I have been in school almost all my life and I kind of don't know how to function without it. I mean, I've mastered it at this point. I'm fine. But I do really love learning, genuinely. So it's hard to not kind of be in that cycle of going to a class or doing homework. But I've enjoyed it. It's been great. I'm a working girl. Still adjusting to that. Not that I haven't worked a job before. It's almost always been summer jobs or kind of internships that are a little bit easier to manage. So I'm doing the full 8 to 4, 9 to 5, whatever you want to call it, situation. And I really like it. It's been great. And it allows me to save up for my future ventures, which is nice. But I do definitely miss kind of the school setting, but I just read a lot now in my free time. I try to teach myself things. I learned how to build a desk the other day.
Oh.
It was kind of a waste of my time because I don't need a desk, but I know how to do it, and it fulfilled the need to learn something.
Now you have the skills.
Right, exactly. And so I think we're doing good. I think I've adjusted to post-grad or in between grad life pretty well. But we'll see.
Do you want to tell the pod about some of those future plans?
Yeah, so I'm moving to Scotland next summer. For good. Haha. Well, who knows? But for at least the next 4 to 7 years, probably, of my life. Yeah, I'm really excited for it. I'm going back at least in March, if not before then. I was there this summer for a week, and that was really great. Probably highlight of my summer, to be honest. Yeah, and then I'm going to move, and that will be it, and I will be a much happier and more chill person at that point, I think.
That's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I'm very excited. It'll be great. I'm excited to have afternoon tea every day. I don't love the concept of having to call an apartment a flat, but I'm sure it'll grow on. I just don't
You'll get used to it.
Yeah, why is it called a flat? It's not flat. It's fine. But I do spell things the British Old English way. I add U to a lot of words, like color, favorite. Yeah. So
flavor.
Yeah. So I guess in a way it'll be fine. We'll see.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you how your experience was during grad school, because we previously talked to a good amount of our guests who have experienced grad school in full. So we want to hear how your take went.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think I'm a little bit biased. I really enjoy learning regardless of what that looks like, and so I really enjoyed grad school. Not to say it didn't have its struggles, and it is a little bit different almost than you expect it to be. I think you either have people who tell you oh, grad school is going to be the same as undergrad, or grad school is going to be so hard and you're going to hate your life and blah, 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 blah. And both of those things, I guess, can be true. But for me, I think there was a happy medium of things that I didn't really expect to be different that were. Professors, I think, were strict, but about weird things sometimes. But then other times it was okay, this was easier than half the classes I took in undergrad. I think part of that might also be what I major in and what I study, and the fact that I really enjoy that. So it's really easy for me to read 90 pages on a topic because I'm invested in it, because I do genuinely want to do that reading. Whereas if you don't care as much, it sucks to have to read 90 pages of something, but it was pretty good. I enjoyed it. I mean, I'm planning to go back for more, so I can't really say too many bad things about it, I guess.
Yeah. And we should let our podcast listeners know that Maddie is our first Peace and Conflict Studies major on the podcast.
And perhaps the only in the world.
And perhaps the only, and Peace and Conflict master student, double PCS. So again, not a history major. We hope that doesn't bother you. Yeah. It doesn't bother us.
Please don't leave any hate comments.
Yeah, if it helps, history is a big part of Peace and Conflict Studies. It's a very interdisciplinary degree. I would say kind of the main disciplines under it are history, honestly, philosophy, I would say, is a big part of it. Poli-sci, I guess. Religion. There's a lot that goes into Peace and Conflict Studies, especially depending on what you pursue, kind of what your focus within that is. If you're more studying the mediation aspect, it's very social psych heavy. But since I pursue kind of more international, larger conflicts, I think history is a really big part of it, and it's a part that I certainly enjoy. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm a U.S. history hater, but I do love world history, and so if there's pieces of U.S. history involved in that, that's fine. But like APUSH was my least favorite class in high school.
That's fair. Yeah.
But yeah, so don't leave hate comments because, like you just heard, PCS, Peace and Conflict Studies, involves a lot of history.
It
but
really
also,
does.
even if you were gonna do that before the explanation, just remember this is the History Club podcast. This is not the history podcast. This is not the history major podcast. So please stop leaving mean comments. We don't want to hear it. We don't care. Watch a different podcast. Maddie was an active member of History Club in her years at this fictional university, and we do not want to hear any hate. Okay.
Also, respectfully, Maddie's a little bit of a bitch, so if you do leave a mean comment, I fear you're gonna get an equally mean one back. And it's not because I'm a mean person in general, it's just because, like, I don't have the time for it anymore. I'm too old and too tired for that shit. Like, And
it's because you deserve it if you left a mean comment.
And also, she's got shooters.
She's got shooters. Not in that way. Not
like that.
Well, speaking of Peace and Conflict Studies, I want you to tell the pod a little bit more about that, and specifically your thesis. What's your thesis about?
My thesis is very near and dear to my heart, and very upsetting to a lot of other people. But my thesis is about the U.S. military involvement in Afghanistan post 9/11, and kind of the issues that we had with withdrawal. And regardless of whether or not you think the military should have been there in the first place, however you feel about that, I think anybody can agree that the withdrawal process was absolute garbage, which I say a lot more eloquently in the thesis, by the way. But it's really examining how this is a conflict that spanned multiple presidents, multiple different takes on foreign policy, and it was still executed terribly. And I don't think any one president is to blame for that. And I am a person who generally has really strong feelings on presidents and what they do with foreign relations. But I think a key part of the problem is the fact that we were there for so long. The fact that what we were trying to do essentially was build democracy in a place where democracy was not made to be forced upon people. You can't say, here, you're going to do this now and it's going to work. That's not how things happen in life. And that's certainly not unique to Afghanistan. But having that be the precursor and a lot of the conditions on the ground at the time, both between like the citizens of Afghanistan and the U.S. military and different groups operating in Afghanistan at the time, there was no way that withdrawal was going to end well. And there was plenty of U.S. intelligence telling, our operators that as well, which I think is really interesting because the same thing happened pre 9/11. So interesting that we ignored that for the second time. But realistically, with the way the withdrawal went, I think what we created in Afghanistan is the very thing that we set out to avoid. And a lot of people get bothered by that because they think that I'm endorsing certain groups or a certain process, and that's very much not true. But I think if you're able to think critically about things and really take a look at the history and the process, it's very easy to understand why there was a takeover, how that happened, and what our role in that was, because realistically we were very complicit. And I think it's foolish to say that we weren't. I think a lot of times we just want to envision ourselves as the heroes or the people who tried to do good things. And that doesn't necessarily mean that's not true. I can't speak on the intentions of all of the people involved. But the outcome was certainly not beneficial to anybody. And so I think to blame it on one person or one administration is really hard to do when almost every step of the process was flawed.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Just learned so much.
I feel it, yeah.
Sorry to yap. I get really invested.
Great. That was great.
Do you have any reading that you would want people to check out beyond your thesis that would be able to give more perspective as well?
I think it depends on what part of it you're interested in reading. I think there's a lot of interest in the government aspect of it, especially on our end, especially as people who hear a lot about 9/11 and conflict with the Middle East. I think it's very natural to want to see what our government was actually doing. And the problem with that, and a problem that I encountered in the course of my thesis, is a lot of the documents are still classified, and probably will be for most of our lifetimes. But that's how things go. Like, there are still things that are not declassified from Vietnam. There are just things we're not going to know, that we're not at liberty to know. And the government documents are interesting, but I will say, given some of the administrations involved in the Afghanistan conflict, a lot of the documents are very biased along partisan lines. So there's still factual information there. That's not to say, one side is lying, one side is telling the truth, because I absolutely don't think that's the case. But you have to really search for the factual information in there, and so you don't get the full story, I think. If you're really interested in the chaos of everything that was happening on the ground at the time, I would recommend looking at several news stories from that day, like CNN, BBC, Al Jazeera, all very interesting. And within, I want to say 3 days maybe after the actual withdrawal, I think Al Jazeera was one of the first outlets to report on the fact that U.S. intelligence knew that it was going to fail, and that certain organizations were going to topple the government and take power, and they still decided to move ahead with it anyway. And so that's really interesting. It's something that I talk about in my thesis. But there's a lot of really great journals from Asian countries that talk about kind of the geographical dynamic there and intercountry relations with Afghanistan and how those were affected by the withdrawal. And I think that's really interesting because it's a very different perspective than you get from any more Western media or just Western research on the issue in general. They usually, at least in my experience, provide a much more nuanced kind of opinion and evidence on the research. And I really I like that because I think we can get very biased when talking about the Middle East.
Whoa. Okay, so changing the subject, what was your favorite moment from Jimmy Carter's presidency?
Probably the moment that it ended.
Oh, man.
That'll have to be saved for the bloopers.
Realistically, that's going to be my answer to any question you ask about a presidency, I'm afraid.
His was a lot more special. I think, was it the Iran hostage crisis that ended when he lost the election? I'm not a president's girl, I think. Wow, that sounded worse than it did in my head. I take a lot of issue with a lot of U.S. presidents, and I don't mean that even necessarily as a stain on their character. I think it's a job that either you take because you're corrupt or it corrupts you in the process. And I think that would be true for literally anybody who took that position. But it's hard for me to, I think, reconcile the good that any president can do with the damage that they leave, both internally and externally.
Do you feel that way about your term as Model UN president?
Honestly, yeah. I think I brought a lot of good to the organization, but I also think there were people who didn't like the way I did things. That's fine. That's how life works. I could bitch and moan about any given U.S. president all day. I could bitch and moan about Model UN presidents and how they ran things while I was, not in that role. But I think, that's just the give and take that you have.
You're a big fan of Ethel Cain.
I really am, yeah.
This is a deep pivot away from what we previously discussed, but I just wanted to talk about this.
Yeah.
What is your favorite song by Ethel Cain?
Oh,
A loaded question, I know.
I feel like any answer I give is either gonna get me like targeted or institutionalized, which like is valid, I guess, if you know Ethel Cain. Favorite of all time or favorite right now?
Let's go with right now.
Right now, I think Nettles, easy. Been in love with it since it dropped. I would be shocked if it is not my number one on Spotify by the end of the year. But if I had to do all time, I think maybe Western Nights or Family Tree.
Oh, very good ones.
Yeah, but like I don't think she's ever put out a bad song.
That's true,
so,
yeah.
Cheat answer, I guess.
Now, speaking of bad songs, you're also a very big Taylor Swift fan.
Oh, yes, I am.
Do you want to offer your thoughts on the latest album, or is it too soon?
I can offer my thoughts. I don't think people will like them, but that's okay. I will preface by saying I'm a very big Taylor Swift fan. I really have liked all of her music, and before anybody gets in the comments saying, oh, you don't like Fun, you don't like it when she does something different, I love Reputation. It's my favorite Taylor Swift album, and I will defend Reputation until the day I die. I don't love The Life of a Showgirl, and I think the sound is good in a lot of places. Not great. I wouldn't say even like sonically it's her best album by far. It's mid. But I like Max Martin. I like what he does. He did like Eternal Sunshine, one of my favorite albums. So
Very good.
can't really complain about the kind of process and the thought there. And I really see how in the sound and production it is a more fun album, especially coming off of Tortured Poets Department. But the lyrics to me feel like they were written by my 7-year-old cousin if you gave him a list of things to talk about. And I feel really bad for saying that because I know she's really happy, and I don't think she's writing bad music because she's happy. I think she's a lot to celebrate with this album, and I like that she's kind of just doing what she wants to do. I think that's great. I think that's her right. But it's not an album I will voluntarily listen to. And I think that tracks with a lot of kind of the pop releases of this year. Like, they've been really hyped up, and then they've just been kind of mediocre. But every music year is like that. So true. Yeah, Ethel Cain released a killer album this year, and so I'm fine. But sometimes music just has years like that, and that's fine. Like, every artist is going to make an album in their life. And I would say Taylor Swift in general has had a pretty great career. I mean, I know she's had several albums where she's gotten a lot of criticism, but she's had a wonderful career regardless of whether or not you think this album is like a flop or whatever. I think she'll be fine. Like, she's got it in the bag. I'm not worried about The Life of a Showgirl being a bad album.
I want your take on the drama with Charlie XCX.
Okay, I'm not a reliable person on this because I also don't like Charlie XCX, and that's crazy to a lot of people. I did not like Brat as an album, but that is because I guess you can classify Charlie as pop. I don't know what you would actually like consider her genre of music, if it's pop, if it's something else. But I'm not a big, like, EDM-esque fan. In general, that is not, like, a Charlie diss. But the only Brat songs I liked were, like, some of the remixes. And that's because I liked the other artist.
Is it the Ariana Grande one?
No, actually, that would probably rank really low on my...
Oh, wow.
I still like it, but, like, Troye Sivan, the Talk Talk remix. But I love anything he puts out, so that's bias. But I don't really understand the whole, like, sympathy is a knife diss at Taylor, and I'm sure, like, Charlie's talking shit behind closed doors, whatever. That's how life goes. Yeah. But if Actually Romantic is really like a diss back at Charlie, I guess it's not necessarily all that mean. Like, it feels like a pretty weak
Yeah.
diss to be like, oh, you're like a little chihuahua barking at me, like, bitch, fine. I get like, I could give you 10 worse things to say about anybody at any given moment, and that's not even anywhere close to the list. But it just feels so, like, beneath her.
Yeah.
Like, John, like, Dear John is a great diss track, if you want to call it that. Like, I know it's very sentimental, but realistically, that's, like, a really big criticism of someone who was very important in her life, or someone who was adjacent to her life in some sort of way. Actually Romantic, again, feels like a middle schooler who's, like, pissed off that somebody stole their favorite pencil. It's just not that serious ever. You also have $1 billion and an NFL fiance, and, like, anything you want at any given moment. I'm not saying she doesn't have feelings. Like, it's totally valid to still be hurt by criticism from other people, but, like, move on. I think she has a better outlet for, like, letting that go than most anybody else. So I don't really see what is productive about putting a track like that out. If it really is a diss track, maybe not. Who knows?
What do you think about that answer, Rowan?
I tend to agree. I think that this is very beneath Taylor. I am a lot more sympathetic, pun intended, to Charlie XCX. I do think she had very weak shots when it came to, like, the disses, if it is a diss track at all. I mean, I think I understand it from both sides, but I'm more leaning towards Charlie on this one.
Yeah.
Just because.
I also just think, like, the way in which Taylor went about it is really weird. Again, if it is really a diss track, regardless of if it's geared towards, like, Charlie XCX or someone else. But, like, the whole, oh, you talking bad about me is like, oh, it feels like you're talking dirty to me. Like, I have never had, if someone has talked bad about me, been like, oh, wow, that's actually, like, doing something for me. Like, I would need help if that was the case, I think, because that happens a lot. Like, I've got a lot of that stacked up in my life, and if it was doing something for me, I'd be a much more content person, I think. But, like anybody normal, like, it kind of bothers me when someone talks bad about me. And so this whole concept of, I get she's trying to say, like, oh, it doesn't even faze me, but to be like, oh, it, like, turns me on that you talk shit about me is like, go hang out with Travis Kelce. That's what he's there for. What else does he do? Like, you know what I mean?
I feel like she took a lot of inspiration from Chapel Realm with My Kink is Karma. I think she was very inspired by that one and wanted to do something that was sort of similar to that in her diss, if it's a diss.
But she failed miserably.
Yeah.
Wow, those are worlds apart. That's a great song, though.
Yeah.
Damn.
But it's one of those things where, like, sympathy is a knife. In hindsight now, I kind of see, like, why it was a Taylor diss, like, how she perceived it that way, because it was a lot more, like, heavy-handed than I remembered it when I listened to it again very recently. But the issue is that I think it was a lot more, like, Charlie felt bad about herself feeling these ways about Taylor.
Yeah.
And as a result, there was a level of nuance that Taylor just kind of glided over if she is in fact dissing. Mm-hmm. That's what I feel like.
Preach. I think those are great takes, guys. That's wonderful. All right. So we are going to finish off with 4 rapid fire questions.
Okay.
With one final question for you. And this is a question from our previous podcast guest in our last episode, Ryan.
Okay.
He would like to know, who was your favorite president?
Oh. Wow. Oh, that's really unfortunate. I'm gonna go with FDR.
Okay.
I think.
Classic.
Yeah. I just, yeah, I'm not really big on the U.S. presidents in general, but I feel like from everything I know about him, anyway, which admittedly, again, not too much, but he to me seems like kind of the last, or one of the last people to go into office really, like, kind-spirited with genuine goals for helping the public as much as you can do in that position. And I think he accomplished a lot without having the mindset of, I'm just going to do things to do them. I'm going to, pass things to say that I did this while I was president. So he earns points in my book for that. But that's about it, I think. Yeah, second choice would definitely be Joseph R. Biden, just for his whole, there are definitely 3 genders bit.
Joe Biden, a History Club podcast favorite.
Yes, he listens.
He's
you might remember.
He's in the comment section.
He is.
Drop a
Go check it
like,
out.
Joe Biden. Drop a like, please.
Yes.
I've always believed in you, Joe.
Yes. And thank you for watching our podcast again.
Soda! Top 10 Joe Biden moments.
Yes. If we get 100 likes, me and Owen will reenact the top 10 Joe Biden moments live on the phone. 100 likes. Joe, get those fake accounts in here.
Yeah, come on, Joe.
I think he was really underappreciated for his time.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, not in the, good president way, just in the, he's really funny.
He is.
I think he's got a lot of golden moments. The whole, don't play with me, kid thing with the press. He's got that locked down.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite Joe Biden moment?
Oh my gosh. I don't know. I'd have to think. Do you have one?
I do. My favorite Joe Biden moment is when he said, "There's one word to describe America."
That's a good one.
That's a good one. How am I gonna beat that? I might not have one off the top of my head. I don't know if one's coming to me. Can I pass?
That's okay.
Yeah.
I'll comment mine below.
Awesome.
I'll comment.
Right next to Joe's comment.
Right next to Joe's comment. Joe, I'll reply to you. I'll reply to you. Oh yeah. Okay. And so now we have to ask you.
Okay.
If you could ask our next guest any question, what would it be?
How do you grapple with the weight of mass consumerism encroaching on society every little bit more day by day?
That is a wonderful question. Are you excited to see our next guest answer that?
I'm really excited.
I'm very excited too, but you know what I'm more excited for? Is this next segment called Rapid Fire Questions. Me and Owen, you know how it goes by this point, but me and Owen will ask 3 questions each. Maddie will answer in as short or as long as time if you want.
Yeah.
Owen, would you like to begin?
It doesn't have to be too rapid if you don't want it to be.
No, it's all up to you.
I'll go first, yeah. I wanted to ask you, because you've gone to a lot of concerts.
I have.
Who is your favorite artist that you've seen live?
Ethel Cain, hands down.
Other than Ethel Cain.
Claro.
Oh, that's a good pick.
Good pick.
Mm-hmm.
Where's your favorite place you've ever been to?
Thailand.
Oh. So you said that you were reading a lot post-grad. What's your favorite book that you've read in the past year?
Crazy pick, but Want by Gillian Anderson.
Never heard of that one.
Either. Well,
It's maybe a little bit of a saucy take for the pod,
Oh.
but
they'll understand. They'll
Yeah.
understand. What's your favorite class you've ever taken?
American foreign policy.
And what's your favorite history club event that you went to?
Game night, for sure.
Yes, game night. Woo!
And what is your favorite board game?
Scrabble.
Oh.
Some great answers.
Or second choice would be Sorry.
Wow.
Underrated
That
game,
is,
I
yeah.
think.
What a wonderful segment of rapid fire questions. And what a wonderful podcast. Thank you so much for watching. Maddie, do you have any final words to the podcast?
Just always, follow your dreams, be true to yourself, and don't let yourself fall victim to the surveillance state.
So true.
Yeah.
Owen, any final words?
Words to live by, Maddie. It's hard to top those.
Yes.
Please tune in.
I know.
I can't edit that well. I can't edit that well. So yes, thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like. Remember, 100 likes and me and Owen will reenact the top 10 Joe Biden moments. Thank you so much to Maddie for coming on the podcast. And thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next week.
Bye.